this video, we're going to cover part B of the lab. I'm not going to go through every step that's listed on the lab worksheet, but we'll cover some of the main operations that you'll need to complete this lab. I'm also going to introduce you to data mining. So we're going to mine US sample data for counties in Alabama and an Alabama boundary. And this is not in your lab, but I would suggest you go ahead and add it to it as you submit the lab work for Lab 1 parts A, B, and C. First thing we're going to do is I'm already on the Blackboard page, so I'm going to go to Learning Modules, left click. I'm going to go to Topic 1, Introduction to GIS. It's trying to load the PowerPoint, but the minute I get to this screen, I'm going to left click on the lab itself. Give it a little bit of time. We're going to save as. And as we did before, we need to put it on the C drive in a new folder with your surname and Lab 1. And this time let's do B, just for the fun of it. But I think I'd rather you, when you do the complete lab, submit everything in one folder, and it would be your surname, Lab 1. So we'll save in there. Just take a moment for that to download. While that's downloading, we can minimize this screen and open up the C drive. Take a look in there and see it's not quite finished downloading yet. There you go. We now have the zip file in our folder, Weinmiller Lab 1. Double left click on the zip file, and Control A selects everything. Control C, we're going to copy it. Left click up here in the file path on the folder name. We'll be back out in the folder. Left click to clear out the selection of the zip file, and Control V pastes the contents of the zipped file into this folder. Remember, once again, you only want a single layer of folders. So you want folder, then you want data inside that folder. You don't want folder inside a folder, and then the data in there. It's too deep within the file path structure, and ultimately you're going to get some errors in naming. Once we've done that, we can get rid of that zip file just to reduce the space. Here's your lab document. It's Word, and we can enable editing on this, and we'll go File, we'll Save As, and we're going to put that in Weinmiller Lab 1 in here. We're going to rename it as Weinmiller Lab 01 and leave it at that. If you've been working online on part A, you would already have some screenshots. I don't have any, so I'm going to Control Enter. Remember, it's going to pick up the outline, so I'm going to backspace till I get back to the margin, and I can leave that open to do a screenshot. Going to minimize this, and we're going to launch GeoMedia. I have it on my quick launch, but I'll go ahead now. I'm not working in the virtual environment. I'm just going to launch GeoMedia. You would launch it in the virtual desktop space, but I'm just going to launch GeoMedia by going to Start All Programs. Go down here to GeoMedia Professional, double left click, open up GeoMedia. We're going to go for a blank Geo workspace. Click OK. Get as much map window as we possibly can. Remember, this is legend, this is map window. I only want 2 rows of toolbars across the top organized close to this, and one row to the right, one column to the left, one column to the right. Sorry about that. Okay, there's nothing here, so we have no data collection. So we're going to go ahead and go into warehouse, new connection. It's going to be access, and we're going to connect to US sample. So we type US sample as a name. We do not connect to the warehouses folder. We have to go into the C drive, and you'll notice on my laptop, the warehouse folder is on the D drive, but you're going to go to the C drive. You're going to get to your folder, and you're going to connect to US sample data and click OK. There's nothing in this map window, but we do have a data connection. So if we looked at warehouse, clicked on connections, you'll see that we have US sample. We close that. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to create a new Microsoft Access database or warehouse. So we go to warehouse, new warehouse. This particular screen is asking us for what kind of template to use. The default is normal.mdt Microsoft database template. You're going to just click new. So you're taking the default. Now it's asking you to name that and where do you want to save it. Remember, it defaults to the warehouse folder. We want to get away from that. Go to the C drive, go down to your lab folder, and we're going to name this particular Microsoft Access database Alabama. And save. Now, to show that we've created that, we'll go to Warehouse, we'll go to Feature Class Definition. You've been there before. And on the Feature Class Definition window, you'll notice we have Access US Sample, and it has a plus sign. If I click the plus, you'll notice that we have all of the features that are in that particular database. These represent tables. Some of them are points, some of them are polygons, some of them are lines, a text feature, and an image that are in US sample. And you'll notice that there's nothing to the left of Alabama. That means there's no features or map objects in there. So let's go ahead and close that so we know the connections are made. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to mine US sample data for counties. Remember, there's 3,000 some odd counties in that database. We're going to mine that using an attribute query for counties where the state name, that attribute, is equal to Alabama. And we do that using the analysis function. So we left click on analysis. We roll down to attribute query, left click. Now it's asking us under the attribute query window, where do you want to select features from? Left click on the drop down, click on the plus, and we're going to left click on counties. So we've told it so far we want to look in counties and US sample data. The filter lists the attributes, so left click on filter button, and now we have counties filter. We're going to build what's called an SQL statement, a structured query language statement, by clicking across this particular window. So we've said to the GIS, show me counties where, scroll down, state name, highlight it, and left click on the black arrow, where state name, here's the operator, left click one time and it goes down automatically, equals. Here we're going to show values. Even though we may know how to spell Alabama, this is case sensitive, so we don't know whether it's a leading with an uppercase A and all the rest is lowercase, or whether it's all uppercase, or whether it's all lowercase. So if you show values, you'll be better off. And there's only 48 state names in this database, I believe. So left click. It says processing will take longer for large data sets. Clearly, if you have a million variables, it's going to take a long time to list them all. You just say yes. Okay, that's fine. There's Alabama. Left click to highlight it and put it down there. So now you've developed this SQL statement asking the GIS to show you all the counties in U.S. sample where the state name is equal to Alabama. Click OK. Everything looks fine. Now, you have some options here. I prefer not to display anything because we're not going to use these items for display. So we can take this check out of the checkbox that says display query in map window. If we would say yes to display that, what would happen was it would list a legend entry up here and it would show it in the map window. Take the check out of there. But we will, just for the fun of it, display the query in a data window. So a data window will pop up in front of the map window, showing us that something was returned. You'll notice that the query name will be attribute query of counties. That will come into play later on. Click OK. Okay, there's all 67 counties in Alabama. So it returned those counties. So it took them out of all 3,000 some odd counties in the United States. So close that. So now we have a counties polygon for every county in Alabama. The next thing we want to do is we want to have a state boundary for Alabama. You don't just want counties, you want a state boundary, which is a polygon all the way that covers the entire state with a boundary edge that covers the entire state and is continuous. So we're going to go again to analysis. We're going to go to left click on attribute query. This time, instead of counties, we're going to select states. Left click on the filter again. We'll scroll down to state name. Left click on the black arrow equals, left click, show values, yes. Left click on Alabama and move it down there. So now we've asked the GIS a second time to show me all the states where the state name is equal to Alabama. Hopefully, there's only one. So click OK. We don't want to display this in the query in the map window. And really, we'll just display it in the data window just for the fun of it again. Click OK. There you go. There's Alabama and all its attributes. Now, when you make an attribute query or even a spatial query, the query returns everything in the table. So it returns the whole row in the table with all its attributes. Let's close that. Still nothing in this window. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the query. Queried features are just that. They're not really features that represent tables in an Access database. In order to do that, we have to output queries to a feature class. So queries are just going in and executing that SQL statement. If we were to save this GIS right now, reopen it, what it would do as it opens up would be re-execute those queries. So it hasn't really created a feature class, it's just querying those out. So we're going to make them a permanent feature in this Microsoft Access database that we've created. In order to do that, we go to Warehouse, and we roll down to Output to Feature Classes and left click. Now we have, you'll notice, queries with a plus. There are two of them. Attribute query to counties, attribute query of states. If you look, Alabama has nothing in it yet. Look at the target connection. GeoMedia pretty much assumes that if you have a warehouse with data in it, features, and you have a warehouse that's empty, you're probably going to want to output feature classes into this empty Microsoft Access database. Also, there's a check in the box that says display target feature classes in map window. We'll leave that checked, and we're going to check both of them by just checking the top here in the query. So attribute query of counties is going to be output, and attribute query of states is going to be output. We're not quite finished yet. Let's left click on the advanced tab. Here, if you look over here to the third column, it says target feature class. The target feature class says attribute query of counties and attribute query of states. Those are generic names. That's not what you would want those features to be named in your new Microsoft Access database. You would want them to be named something very specific. So what I do is I'm left clicking to highlight the attribute query of counties, rolling to the left, and I'm going to call it Alabama. So now it's Alabama counties. Makes sense. I'm going to left click on attribute query of states, and I'm going to call that feature Alabama. So now, when their output is feature classes, they're going to be named Alabama counties and Alabama. Let's click back to the General tab one more time. We're going to output those two feature classes. They're going to go into Alabama. It's going to display them in the map window. Click OK. It tells us now, the window, that the output process will result in two feature classes, new mode. Do you want to continue? Yes. You'll notice that you get these bars at the bottom, outputs complete, okay. And now we have a map of just Alabama with all 67 counties. Okay, to ensure cartographic integrity and conformance to those standards, we want to change the county to black boundary, and the state of Alabama, let's make that one dark blue. And to show you that we output not only the county data, but also the attributes. So not only the boundary, but all of the attributes that were in the original database. We'll double left click on that, and there's all the attributes of Montgomery County, Alabama. If we went to warehouse and we went down to feature class definition, now you'll notice that Alabama has Alabama boundary and Alabama counties. Now what you've done is the next part of the lab, we're going to connect to Madison County. What you've done is basically eliminated all of those other data sets for all of the other 3,000 counties outside this state. You don't need them. It's too much information when we're going to be dealing with Madison County up here. So now what we're going to do is make another connection. Warehouse, new connection. This one's going to be Madison County, so type it in there. And by the way, you do not need underscores on connection name. We're going to browse. We're going to go to our folder on the C drive. Don't pick it up out of the warehouses. Madison County, Alabama, open, OK. So now we should have three connections here. Warehouse, connections, we've got three connections. That's good. Here's what I want you to display. I want you to go into Legend, Add Legend Entry. That's how you add legend entry. Let's click the plus. We want to left click on Airport. We want to left click on Highway. Left click on Institution, Major Waters, Parks. I don't think I want railroads. We want streets, transportation terminal, linear water, and water polygons, and click OK. You'll notice that Madison County filled up. And that's because all of these features are in there right now. If we kind of zoomed in there you can see now we've got lots of these features. The institutions are all of these spots. And you know what? I don't think I want them. So I'm going to just left click on this particular item, and I'm going to hit my delete button, and I'm going to delete that legend entry. Now, did I really delete the feature? No. The other issue that I'd like to do is show you that you can zoom to a select set. So I want counties on the top because I want to get Madison County up there. So I'm going to left click on this and push county to the top of the legend entry. And also I'm going to open this up. Remember the double arrow, pull this over so I can see everything that's in there. There's the 67 counties. I'm going to go ahead and select Madison County. How do I know it's selected? Because it's green. You can see that it's green. You see that here is fit all. This is fit select set. What that means is that anything that's selected in that window, it'll zoom and fit that. So if I left click on that, now it's zoomed in so that the select set, which was only Madison County, has been selected. Let's do a little bit of cartographic work in here. Streets in here, in this particular data set, I like them to be gray. So now we have gray streets. Airports, I like to have a black boundary with a gray fill. There's the airports. Major water. Water should always be blue fill. And what's really nice is to have a lighter blue fill and a nice dark blue boundary around them. And we have water polygons, which could be lakes. We're going to do the same thing with those. We certainly don't want them to be green. So now we have the water polygons in there. Parks. This is anybody's call. I don't like to use green, but I guess a dark green will be okay. And we can fill them with maybe just a light green down in here, maybe a yellowish green. So those are park areas. That looks a little bit better. These are highways. Let's get those instead of purple. We'll make them just a little bit darker gray. Okay, so I can live with that. That's not so bad. Now what I want to do is answer just a few of these questions. If you look at question 18A, it's asking for the name of the airport in the southwest corner of Madison County. So if I want to zoom into the southwest corner of Madison County and look for an airport, here's the icon. I can left click and I can draw a little box by left click and holding and then let go. Then I can right click to get out of that. And you'll notice that if I left click, I've still got this Alabama boundary, the county boundary. So what I'm going to do is right click on this, locatable off. That gives me a little bit better opportunity to get in there. And there's the name of the airport. It's in the attributes section, Huntsville International Carl T. Jones Field. Okay, nice. Let's go ahead and take a measurement. So we're going to measure distance. In order to measure distance, you left click on Tools, and we'll roll down here to Measure Distance or Area and left click. This is the Measure Distance Area window that comes up. And the first thing you want to look at on this is what kind of units of measurement do you want to deal with. This one is preset defaults to meters. We're working in the United States, we're on English units, so we would want that in either feet, yards, miles, something like that. In order to change that, we're going to go up here to this little icon and left click. When we left click on that icon, it pulls up the Unit and Formats tab of the View Geo Workspace Coordinate System window. And you'll see the type of measurement we're taking. So we're going to scroll down to distance and left click to highlight that. The unit of measurement here is meters. Let's change that to miles. With a precision, let's get out to a thousandth of a mile. Leave everything else okay and click OK. Now you notice that this says miles. So just for fun of it, these are the runways. Let's measure one of these runways. You'll notice that you have that little icon, looks like a valley, a mountain with a little point on top. That means that it's hit a node. It's actually detecting a node. I'm going to left click right there, and then I'm going to roll down until I hit the node again and left click. So the distance of that runway, the measurement is 1.909 miles, almost 2 miles long. That's how you measure distance. Now, if I wanted to measure another leg, you can see the real-time distance indicator following the dotted line, and I'd want to measure the distance across to that next runway over there. It looks to me like 1 mile. And if I left click right there, it would add that one to the other measurement, and we'd have 2.901 miles, 909 miles. Okay, to get out of there, just right click and close that. So now you know how to measure distance. Let's go ahead and fit select set. Let's just do this, see if it's still there. Now you notice the select set is Alabama. So let's go ahead and turn this locatable on again for counties. Left click to highlight, fit select set. Okay, we're back here in Madison County again. And I want to find this transportation terminal. I can see it right here, but I want to make sure that it's really highly visible. So I'm going to double left click. I'm going to make it about 10 in bright red. Now I can see it, and I want to zoom into it. You'll notice the dot doesn't change size as you zoom in. And I'd like to know the name of that. So I'm going to have to get it up above there. And it's a Greyhound bus station. Okay. Let's go ahead and change the name. It says transportation terminal up here. Let's change the name to Greyhound terminal. We've already got it highlighted. Left click one more time. This gets a little touchy. Double left click, and let's call it Greyhound terminal. And by the way, in this situation, you can have a space because it is a legend entry, not a legend symbol, and click OK. Now in our legend, it's called Greyhound terminal, and we have not renamed the feature. If I double left click on the feature, you notice the table still says transportation terminal properties. Okay. Now, suppose I want to know the address of that, or at least on what corner it's on. I'm going to push the streets up above here and see if I can get them to select. You'll notice that street. It's Clinton Avenue. So that's Clinton Avenue. And if we get that to turn green, that's Monroe Street. So it's on the corner of Monroe Street and Clinton Avenue. Now, suppose I wanted to know the distance, the shortest distance to this terminal from I-565. Well, this looks like an interstate up here. There are other ways to do this, but let's go ahead and see if that's an interstate. Yep, that's I-565. So here's the probably technically the off ramp. Yep, that's the ramp. Okay. Now, what I want to know is the intersection of I-565 and Church Street. I know where Church Street is, and you probably can guess it, but we're going to query it out. So, how do we do that? We're going to go to Edit, Unselect All. Then we're going to use the Analysis tool again, and we're going to go Analysis, Attribute Query. We're going to go into Madison County, and we're going to go to Streets. We're going to filter where name is equal to, and show values, it's going to be large, and we're going to start typing church. There it is, church, put it down there. Okay, we don't want to see it in the data window. We don't want to display it in the map window either, but let's go ahead and do it anyways. What the hey, Ned. And let's make this one, it's a query, so it's going to be red. I'm going to make it red, so it's going to actually appear in red in the map window. If I click OK, and I click OK, there's Church Street. Now, I haven't done really much of anything, so now I want to measure the distance between the ramp, I think it's right here, what I decided was the ramp, and either go around this way or go down this way and come over to it. So how do I do that? I go to Tools, and I go to Measure Distance again. And we know that it's set up linear miles, so we can go ahead and start here. I got the intersection, which is that dot again. Go down here. And I really want you to kind of trace around this street. You don't have to be too particular. So right about there, that's 0.545 miles. Let's get rid of that and try it this way. clicking again, trying to take in some of the curve. That's 0.589. So the shortest distance is to go around this way. And let's close this. And certainly we would want to go Monroe Street. So Church Street to Monroe and around. Now, I have this highlighted. I don't want that anymore. I just left click on this query and delete it. It's gone. And then if I go up to Analysis Queries, here's my query of street, and I don't want it anymore. I'm going to delete that. And also, here's the two queries where we did counties and states. We don't need either of them. I'm going to hold my Shift key down and delete both of those as well. So we have a really nice, clean Geo workspace. Okay, we want to know the name of parks. There's 33 parks in this particular database. And there are these green areas, and we want to know how many of them begin with the letter L, the name. Well, we could click on them. We could left click, push them up in the hierarchy, and start double left clicking on them to try and figure that out. But there's an easier way to do this. And sometimes you don't have to do it with a map. Let's select set again. Sometimes you don't have to do it with a map. You can do it with a query. Or you could do it by looking at the table. So we can go to Window, New Data Window, click on Madison County, and we're talking about parks. So we want to left click on park and click OK. Here's the table with all the parks. Now, you know how easy it is? All you do is right click on the name, and we want to right click till it's highlighted, sort ascending, and roll down until we get the first L, and hit your Shift key and get the second L. There's two parks that begin with the name L, and they should be highlighted on here somewhere. I can see one of them right there. The other one's probably so small that it's difficult to see highlighted. But if we zoomed in, we could see those. So you could do it that way. That's the easiest way to do this rather than clicking through. And you're done with that. Edit, unselect all, takes the select set out of there. What's the name of the recreational area closest to the bus station? Recreational area, I might not even have inserted. Let's go to legend, add legend entry, and there's a recreational area. Let's click that to get it displayed again. And let's double left click them, make them blue, and make them quite large. Aha. Now we can zoom in. See, it's so close, it's even covered up. Right click. There's the recreational area. It's Huntsville Museum of Art. Piece of cake. Now, I hit zoom to select set. What happened? Well, there's one thing selected, and it's this recreational area. So we need to take that out of the selection process, push up Alabama counties, left click. That ought to get us Madison County. So let's consider that done. My demo for this part of the lab, so I want to save this. I'm going to go to File, Save Geo Workspace As. And by the way, if you're doing this lab, you need a north arrow and a scale bar. But I've done this so many times, I don't need one. So we're on the C drive, go down to My Folder, and I'm going to call this Weinmiller LAB01B. Okay, so you're going to have, for Lab 1, you're going to have 3 geo workspaces. You're going to have Weinmiller, or your surname, LAB01A, 01B, and 01C. We're going to save this in the folder, and I'm going to close. I'm going to go to my folder, And I'm going to see what it looks like if I double left click. It should open up exactly like there it is, just like I left it. Close that. Okay, let's go ahead, minimize this again. And I have very little to show you on part C. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and start this up, do part C, what I want to show you. Only take about 5 minutes, finish that up, and then you have authorization to finish all of Lab 1 parts A, B, and C. So we're going to open up GeoMedia. We're going to do a blank Geo workspace. Click OK. Once again, we want to expand our map window so it's large. This time we're going to make a warehouse connection. And this time, because I told you so, you're going to make a connection to ArcInfo. And I believe the name of that is North America. But we'll call it, no, I think let's call it USGS. I think that's the folder name. So USGS. ArcInfo USGS. We're going to browse to the C drive. You'll notice the window's a little bit different here. It didn't open up the same kind of window. We're going to scroll down to Weinmiller Lab 1 and open that up. And we're only going to highlight the folder. There's lots inside the folder. We don't want that. We want the folder highlighted and click OK and click OK. Now, if we look up at warehouse connections, we have a connection to this ArcInfo warehouse. Fine. Now we're going to make another connection, warehouse, new connection. This is access. And I believe the name of that is North America. So we're going to name that one North America. Oops, it's defaulting there. Access North America. Okay, we're going to browse. Once again, we have to find our folder. You'll notice this window is different when you're looking for an access database. And there's North America MDB, open, okay. Now what I want you to do is we have nothing displayed in the window. Let's go to Legend, add legend entry. Under North America, list countries. It only has one feature in there, so just put a check in the top box and click OK. There's the countries in North America. By the way, this is at a very small scale, so if you zoom into this, there's a lot of generalization here. Those coastlines are much more complex than that. The reason it is that it's at a world scale. This is at 1 to 30 million, 34,360 just to get all of that in there. So, very small scale, and we actually have the Hawaiian Islands in this one. Okay, now we're going to insert something from ArcInfo. So we're going to go to Legend, add legend entry. We're going to click the plus on ArcInfo, and you'll notice there's a lot of features in here. And what we're going to look at is U.S. states. So ST25M area. So we want ST25M area, not the line. And we also, I believe there may be counties in there, but I don't know. But I know there's cities, and we want cities from ArcInfo, so the point feature. And let's go ahead and click OK. Now you'll notice that all the states from the United States and all the cities that are in the ArcInfo warehouse are displayed. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull this down below there and select set. No, let's try this. Okay, I've got that selected now, and let's zoom into that. So what I want you to take a look at here is we have two different databases of two different types displayed in the same map window with the same projections. However, look at the difference in level of generalization. Let's zoom into, for example, um, the eastern coast of Georgia and South Carolina. This is the ARC info data set, and this is the North America data set access database. You can see that the level of generalization is much higher in the access database. That's because this is a world data set. This data set was designed to give you much more detail, so it's a larger scale. However, it's still not sufficient enough to show all the detail. Okay, if we wanted to change colors, you can change the colors in this particular data set just like you would in any other. We can do boundaries. We can add a fill. Let's go ahead and add a funky looking coral fill to them. Wow, that's gorgeous. If we want to make this translucent, we can do 65%. Let's see what that looks like. And let the cities show through. If we pushed cities up above there, we could double left click on the city, and you can see there's not a lot of attribution in this one, in that particular data set. If I wanted to just see um, these lower contiguous states without Hawaii, without Mexico, I could just literally draw a box around here, get it in my map window, right click. I can change the line weight. Suppose I want my line weight here to be thick. Let's go up to 1.75 and let's make it really ugly. We can change that. If we don't want to see the access database, just turn it off. If you don't like it, turn it off. We could zoom out a little bit. We could add a scale bar. Scale bar, intervals and units in the United States must be in miles. We'll leave it like that. And we could add a north arrow. We'll leave that like that. Funky enough. Now, suppose we wanted to add a title to this map. Once again, we're going to have to add a text feature class in here. So we go to warehouse feature class definition, and we're going to have to add it to the Access North America. The reason being that ArcInfo files and ArcView shape files are read-only files. You cannot add data to them. So we're going to go new. Let's call this map title. It's a text feature. And click OK. And we're going to take the default here and let GeoMedia assign a key attribute. And now it's in there. And to get the title in there, we need to insert text. It's going to pop down, and we're going to select the text feature from North America. And you get that warning about coordinate system. Don't worry about it because you're dealing with text. We're going to override the style because I want this to be Garamond. And I want it to be 22, 24. Left click there, bring my pointer down here, and type the United States of America. Don't left click, just keep your finger off of the clicker, roll it around to where you want. Map labels go below, and left click when it's centered appropriately. Now you'll notice that you still have this. So if you're spastic clicker and you inadvertently click there, you could cancel, but let's go ahead and escape out. And I don't want that anymore. All I have to do is left click on that text. Okay. I don't want that anymore. And then I can go to delete. No, I can't. Hang on. Left click on that text. Go to edit, text, edit text. Oops. Something's not working here. Sorry. Cut it out. Edit, go down here to the red X and delete it. There you go. I was on the wrong thing. That's actually move data. Now, if I want to move this, I left click on this particular text, and I go here to the four-sided arrow, left click. I'm going to get that, and I could actually turn that off. I can move that to adjust it a little bit. I'm happy with that, and I'm going to fit all. There's the United States. I can move this over here if I wish. I can adjust the size of this. And I can do something else. If I go to Tools and go down to Options, under Map Display tab, I want the background to be blue. I just left click here on background, change it to a light blue, okay, okay. And now my background is blue. Kind of ugly, but that's the way it is. I could double left click on this and take the translucency out of there. And that's basically all I want to show you on this lab. We're done with this one. So this exercise, file, save Geo Workspace as. We're going to go back to our folder, C drive. And I'm going to left click here because I'm lazy. And then I'm going to get down here and change this to C, Shift C, save. It's done. The only other thing I'd like to do is take a screenshot. I'm going to, in this particular case, because I'm not working on the virtual desktop, I can hit Function, Print Screen, and then I can go into the Word doc, and I can hit Control V, and there's my screenshot. And I could just put LAB01B screenshot and save. Save that, close this. Now what I'm going to do is open up the folder. Everything in here are things that I need. I've got my lab work with responses. I didn't type any, but you're going to have responses. There should be 3 geo workspaces in here, and all these warehouses. You don't clean any of this out. Leave everything in there. I'm going to back up to the C drive. I'm going to right click on that folder, and I'm going to tell it to send it to a compressed zipped file. There it is. Okay, so this is ready to submit. I'm going to go back to Blackboard. I'm going to go to the mail. I'm going to create a message. It's going to go to me from you. Move me over there. Type LAB01 complete. Type attached. Browse. We're going to go to the C drive on this computer. On your virtual drive, go to the virtual drive, wherever you've created this. There it is. And submit should take a second to upload, depending on how many students are on Blackboard, but it shouldn't take too terribly long. And while that's happening, I think I've got everything closed that I need. Let's see if that's still doing it. Still uploading. Close that. I think I can get rid of this. Yep. The only thing I can't get rid of is, hello. Okay, impatient. We have a really slow connection here today. So we've gone through a demo that shows you what you need to know to complete Part A of Lab 1, Part B of Lab 1, and Part C. So what you're going to do is do all this work, respond to the questions, save the document, save all of your geo workspaces, all of your warehouses, and send in everything to me in zipped format. Let's go to my inbox now. This is the one I just completed, so I'm going to open that. There's LAB01B zip, save target as, and this time I'm going to, well, let me cancel this a minute and go in here now. And I'm just going to call this old. You can do that, by the way, and save your labs. If you just can't be, yeah, look at that, it says lab 1 bold. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now we're going to right click on this and we're going to save target as, and we're going to put it on the C drive. Shouldn't take very long to download. It takes longer to upload than it does to download. Once it's downloaded, I'll show you what I would do with it. Remember, you do not zip the contents of your folder. You zip the entire folder up. Okay, it's done. I'm going to close this. I'm done with that. Here's my C drive. There it is. And your folder should say Lab 1, not B, but I just left it that way because I was working on it. We're going to copy this back onto the C drive. And by the way, do not in any way, once you've saved your geo workspace, do not go in here and rename this folder before you zip it up. Don't touch it. If you make a mistake and happen to work in it and have named this 1B, let it alone because GeoMedia is going to be looking for that. Here it is. There's 1B. Let's see if it'll open up. Perfect. Let's try 1C. Perfect. That's the lab.